For Plotinus, our prior life as soul was in spirit, but not in the way that we now perceive ourselves with flesh and blood, but as a oneness of sorts with spirit itself. So why would soul in its right mind want to leave the beauty and purity of spirit? Well, for starters, the soul does not completely descend into this world, but an aspect of itself does give way to the things of this lower world. Like the fool who falls in love with the shadow of his desire, we fall in lust with the images of reality. Our lapse into the sensual world of time and space was through our longing and audacity to be independent, to go our own way, and to exert personal will and self-rule. Now, as soul, we are responsible for infusing the extended reaches of mind with life energy. It is the role of the soul to animate the physical cosmos and to keep her in alignment with divinity. In other words, it is soul that keeps the universe as one. No matter how removed physical things may appear to be from its source, it cannot exist without some degree of soul to sustain it. This sounds all well and good, but the fact of the matter is that many of us are out of touch as to our former condition. So how do we recover ourselves, or remember our original state of mind? According to Plotinus, there are two ways to commence our investigation. One way shows how contemptible are the things now esteemed by the soul. The other approach to investigating the psyche is to remind ourselves of the more extraordinary aspects of the soul, and how important they are to well-being. But in order to embark upon this later path, the subject must first discern for themselves if there is any such thing as the soul. Is there an aspect of the self which remains connected to the spiritual? For that which investigates is the soul, says Plotinus. But as intelligent human beings, we can't just take the philosopher at his word. We must discover for ourselves whether or not we possess the power or faculty to explore the nature of soul, the spiritual. So on that note, let us begin our study by proceeding to Chapter 2 of the treatise under question. This interior approach, or perspectival position, in seeing anew the non-physical soul as that which resides inside of you in a non-spatial manner, may not become apparent to you as you follow Plotinus's introspective reasoning. Perhaps one of the biggest impediments to entering into this mode of understanding may reside in one's scientific or religious orientation. But neither of these schools of thought is truly a barrier in contemplating things of the spirit. For example, a Christian may assert that the creation of the universe was reserved for God and God alone. And yet the scripture in which they use to justify their points of view is either contradicted or complemented when we read chapter 1, verse 26 of the book titled Genesis. It reads as follows: Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image, to be like us." Notice that it reads "in our image" and "to be like us," which implies that God is not alone in his creation process. This God appears to be open to cooperation in giving life and soul to the universe. He also goes on to say in verse 26 that the human beings are to govern or rule over the things of this world. Plotinus is also asserting that the duty of the soul is to rule and govern the things of this world. So what? The so what is that if we fail to understand the basis of our own faith and or science, then we may find ourselves at odds with and misunderstand the posits that Plotinus is using to reveal that man is with soul or being. If we neglect the spiritual component of the human being, then we may end up looking for love in all the wrong places, so to speak.